And hello. It's us again. Dylan. My name is Dylan, Herin-Soule.
And my name is Avraham ben Yehuda.
And that is not right. Wait a minute.
Hold on a second.
That's not something.
That's not right.
I am Avraham ben Yehuda.
And I am Dylan Herin-Soule.
I think that's still wrong.
Yeah, that sounds...
But we'll go with it. And we are Place Pictures. Hopefully your favorite filmmakers one day here out of Austin, Texas, doing our podcast as usual. And we're going to get into some pretty fun stuff today, as we usually like to get into, right, Dylan?
Yes, that's correct. As per usual.
As we always do. We want to thank everybody that always listens to us. You guys are awesome and amazing, and we're going to keep doing podcasts and invite you into our filmmaking plate. We are active filmmakers in the sense that we write, produce, and direct our own films, and we are trying to do this continually. So hopefully you guys are ready to help us, right, Dylan?
That's correct. I hope that you help us become filmmakers. That's what we want to do.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we want to make films. We want to make films, we want to be filmmakers, and we want to make films.
What?
We want to be filmmakers and we want to make films.
Huh.
You ever think about it that way?
No. I mean, that's...
Not only do we want to be filmmakers, we want to make films too.
That's deep, man.
Yeah.
That kind of depth should be in a film. And that's what we're going to do.
24 frames per second.
There we go. We talked about it before on our audio-only podcast, man. 24 frames per second.
It's a lot of frames per second.
It is.
I have... how's your week? What's your week?
I've been good, man. So I saw a TikTok video the other day that was pretty interesting. They talked about how they said nowadays the way things are going, because the industry is, in such turmoil right now, they're saying actually TV shows are, at least on the level of professional writers, they were saying that TV shows nowadays, if you are to try to get a TV show sold and you're trying to do a pilot, they were saying that this is like the wrong time to do it. Because things are so uncertain, and you don't have anybody that's really going to be out there fighting for, a TV show, because it requires so much of a longevity in production, and like so on and so forth, things like that. So now I was like, but ironically, they said what is a little more accessible now are features. And I was like, okay.
That's strange.
Yeah, I know,
Features.
right? Now, technically, I get it, like, from a technical aspect, because, a feature is like a one-time thing. You get all the crew there, you get all the actor there, you shoot it. After you shoot it, you edit it, bam, you put it out there, everything's done. But with a TV show, that requires a lot more of a commitment, a longer commitment, as far as shoot days, as far as talent, as far as all of that. So I guess that's what they mean by that. I mean, I guess it's fascinating, though.
The Apple TV, I think, lost $1 billion. I think $1 billion.
Jeez.
Yeah. So
$1 billion.
$1 billion. Yeah.
That's crazy, man.
Yeah, lost $1 billion because they're making all of their own content, movies and TV shows and all this stuff, and they don't have this. I mean, no, they don't even. I never see an advertisement for Apple TV. I guess the coolest, but they have good shows. Like they have really good shows on Apple TV.
Yeah.
So the shows pretty much sell the service. Like everyone knows about Severance, but maybe not everybody would know that it's on Apple Plus. But then they look it up like, oh, cool, I've heard about Severance. Oh, it's on Apple Plus. You got to get Apple Plus.
I hadn't watched season 2 yet, but I did watch season 1. And it was pretty good.
Oh,
actually.
yes. You seen season 1?
Yeah, season. Oh, definitely.
I just finished season 2.
Yeah.
And it was very good. No spoilers, but yeah, it was very good. It's probably the most interesting show that's out and about. It's like the most Yeah, it's the coolest, most interesting TV show happening these days.
It has such
It's
a
great.
what I did like about it. Yeah, it has such a like offbeat tone to it. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Like it's mysterious, but then it gets just random, like
Yeah.
wacky a little bit. It's pretty cool.
Oh yeah, they do some of that kind of stuff. There's another. Well, I don't want to spoil anything. It's good though. The finale really gets pretty out there,
Yeah.
but it's good. It's yeah.
So
I'm
you got
curious.
you got a Apple account, huh?
I don't, but I would never encourage pirating. I would never encourage that. But I have my
Yeah.
ways of finding that show.
Yeah. So what's going on with you? What else have you seen
What
or did or whatever?
I was gonna say something and I forget what it was. I don't know what it was. What was it? It was something. There was something I was gonna say, and it was really important. Some guy owed me $2, so I had to go track him down. I had to beat him up.
Ouch.
Yeah, and he was tough. Said his name was Daredevil.
Oh.
Yeah, he acted like he couldn't see me.
It's an act, man. It's an act.
It's not, yeah.
It's an act. That dude can see. Like, he
Yeah.
acts like he can't. Supposedly, he was blind from some accident, but everything gives him the ability to still continue to see. Actually, that is funny, though. You know what's funny about that is that his character in that comic book, like, he's blind, but, like, he can do everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, he can sense color. It's like, you're blind?
That's why, yeah, to me, he's not blind. He's not blind.
Yeah, he just can't see, you know?
But he can see. They go into his, like, he just sees in red or whatever. It's like, well, then he's not blind.
Yeah. Is that why'd you bring it up? You watched it or something or what?
No, I don't know. I just thought of it as a joke.
Yeah, apparently the new season is apparently they said I saw a posting somewhere that said like the ratings dropped. It started off real strong, but it's getting weaker.
Oh, really?
Which have you seen it? Oh, that you're not caught up.
I'm still third season. I gotta watch third season.
Okay, but yeah, I've been watching it, and I don't see why it dropped. I mean, it's okay.
The quality?
You know, it's no. As far as fans.
Oh, the ratings.
Yeah, the ratings dropped.
Yeah, that's a bummer. Yeah, everybody was so excited about that coming out. And
I mean, I guess I can sort of see because the level of the first episode, it hadn't held that consistency, but I don't think it's a huge, amount. I think it just kind of maybe tilted a little bit to where I don't think it completely fell off. But as a matter of fact, the most recent episode is probably the only episode that I saw that I was like, eh. But the other ones were still pretty interesting. I tell you what I miss. I do miss the cinematography in the older ones.
really, yeah.
Because those were done because originally this Daredevil series was made as a gritty, realistic telling of Daredevil.
Yeah.
Now I don't know if they officially announced it like that, but that's definitely the sense you get when you watch it. It's a comic book character in a realistic setting. But in this now, the way and the lighting back then reflected that.
Yeah.
That's how they lit it. You know what I mean? As a matter of fact, it was very dark. They lit it like mostly dark
real
to kind of put
shadowy.
that, to put that in his world and put you in his mind. But
Yeah.
now
They can't do
it
that.
doesn't. Yeah, it's not doing that, which I kind of do miss that. But of course, it's on Disney now, so they got to tweak it a little bit. You know what I mean?
That's the thing. They're keeping with the same. It's got to be uniform with all the other stuff.
They put it in the universe, man,
Yeah.
because it wasn't in that universe at first.
It's like with their comics have to look a certain way. Mm-hmm. They can't be super like they can have artsy like one-offs or whatever, but when you go to your main universe, they have to have like, to me, a boring look. Like it just it's well done, but it's not as cool as like a artsy kind of aesthetic.
Mm-hmm.
But the same thing with the movies. It's like kind of, it's my biggest complaint with the earlier movies, especially like Captain America: Civil War is very washed out, and I don't like that look. Give me some contrast. But then they got better about that as it went.
Then they're real like crisp and clean in connection to them being washed out. The crisp and clean part, I don't mind so much, but I could definitely see the problem with the washed out. But you notice they had to. I mean, they whenever they got to the Infinity Saga, I mean they had to sort of get rid of that because Thanos is purple.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So, and you got so much color. Yeah, you got so much more color coming with the group of characters because then you have Guardians of the Galaxy coming in and they're a little more colorful, So
I think that was the change.
Probably
when James Gunn got on, and I'm curious to see like, did he have a lot of say over like, guys, we gotta introduce color to these movies. These are flat because they really were like super flat. Like, I mean, Civil War. I just keep thinking of that shot of them running down the airport tarmac, and it's the flattest looking thing. It's like you got all these cool superheroes, and they're just like running on an empty, flat looking, but also flat color. And you're like, what is this? Like, this should be the most exciting thing ever. You got Captain America, Spider-Man, like all of the superheroes right there on the stage, and you got the boringest background and the boringest location you could get. I don't know. That image, I don't know who came up with that. That's the most frustrating image in the whole cinematic universe.
Civil War was fun, though. It was fun.
It was good. It was a good movie. That's why I was like, visually, come on, let's go. Let's get this dialed in.
Get it together, guys.
Yeah.
Get it together.
You got millions and billions of dollars and it looks like that. I don't know.
So what we got?
Oh, so the what we have is, let me see. Movie thingy of the weeky time. All right. So, this movie thingy of the weeky is, I almost read the one from last time. Favorite fight scene in a movie and why? Speaking of Captain America.
Oh, that's a loaded one right there. Favorite action scenes and why? The why. That's actually important because instead of it just looking cool.
Why do you like? Yeah.
Let's see. Well, the first one that comes to mind for me. So I like a well choreographed action scene. Like I've always liked well choreographed fight scenes in movies. I think they can ante up the narrative of the film, like, just to a huge degree. And I'm one of these people that when it comes to a fight scene in a narrative film, to use the fight as furthering the narrative instead of the fight just being a break in the narrative. And so I love that kind of stuff. So now with that said, one of my favorites, just right off the top, is Achilles and Hector in Troy. Now, Troy as a film, I thought was okay. I thought it was an okay film. I was by the end of it, I was like, okay, this is decent. But the fight between Achilles and Hector is great because at this point in the film, it's actually not even the last fight. But the reason the anticipation, which is, to me, that's a huge part of a good action scene, the anticipation is there because they had already just, of course, this is going to be full of spoilers because we're breaking down these action scenes, but they had already killed Achilles' cousin. I think his name was Patroclus. They had already killed him. And so we already know that Achilles is their best warrior and he's their most amazing warrior. So he's out for blood. He's literally out for blood. So, and he's like an incredible warrior. He's the best one. We already saw him like take down this one dude that was giant. And we've already seen throughout the movie how incredible he is. So with that, plus the death of his cousin that is fueling his anger and making him want to kill more, that just makes the stakes that much higher when he fights Hector, because Hector is nowhere near as good as he is as a warrior, but he's still Hector. He's still gonna fight him. He's still gonna have his honor, and so that's why during the fight, the fact that the fight goes on as long as it does, you're like, oh man, Hector's the man, because Achilles is clearly better than him. But Achilles doesn't kill him quickly. As a matter of fact, there's a shot where Hector, like, because you could tell Achilles, like, every battle he's in, like, his armor comes out, like, unscathed. But in this one, like, after he fights Hector, he has, like, a slash across it. Okay. So Hector gets him. But, and that's just the narrative stuff. I mean, the other things that are cool, they're doing, like, these cool little, like, special moves, like, Achilles has this one. By the way, Achilles is played by Brad Pitt in this film, but he has this awesome move where he like jumps and stabs down like at the same time, and he does that like a few times in the other war scenes, and it always works. But when he does it with Hector, Hector blocks it, which is awesome within the film, because by that time you see it happen. You can tell that like Hector isn't gonna be this like easy kill, but that's one of the things that makes that like my favorite action scene, because of all of the subtext and all of the like all of the narrative decisions they make that lead up to it. It just has you glued to the screen. And of course, Brad Pitt does a really great job, but it's not actually it's not the most brutal fight scene. It's actually pretty tame. Like, there are no heads being cut off in that scene, and I don't think there's a whole lot of blood. In fact, I want to say when Achilles gives him the last kill shot, it's not even that bloody. So that's like right off the top, that would be one of my favorite, definitely.
I still haven't seen that one. Who is that?
All of this talking, he'd never seen it.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
It
sounds cool. You just ruined the whole thing.
Oh well. I guess that's where we are now.
No, I don't care.
I don't care.
Who makes it? Who directed?
Wolfgang Peterson directed it.
Oh, I don't even know who that is. I do know Brad Pitt, though. Now, yeah. My favorite, or these are just our favorites. Mm-hmm. I don't know. So it used to be, I never cared about, like, action movies.
Yeah, which is why I'm curious to hear what your favorite one is.
Yeah.
I know from back before that was never a huge thing for you.
Now I like watch them and like enjoy like a well done scene in action. Like now I'm like, okay, how do you make a good action scene, and what's that involved? There's a lot of cool stuff with because I'm watching animes, and that's like their whole thing. There's like a bunch of battles.
Oh yeah.
And it's interesting to see how they do those as well, like in an anime. And honestly, anime's battles are very good. Like there's something like really engaging about.
Oh, absolutely.
Like the way they frame them, and the way the art of it. Like they'll add different like effects, and they'll come in like they'll do something where someone's fighting, and then they'll like interject like what they're thinking about, and they'll be standing in like a different environment, and they'll be talking about,
which pulls you into it just that much more. Yeah,
it like relates. Like you're like, oh wow, this is why the battle matters. It's really cool. It's a really interesting way to like tell a story. Anime. I'm learning like the language of anime is its own deal, and a lot of them are similar. Like a lot of animes are very similar story. The way they tell the story is very similar. But it's fascinating. I think filmmaking can gain a lot from anime.
Well, it does. I mean,
Like,
you've had people.
yeah, they just do it. Yeah, because you can see why. It's like, oh yeah, that's a very effective way. But my favorite, I'd say, like, because I was thinking like maybe the Matrix or stuff. I mean that when I was younger, I think. But the Game of Thrones battles. There's a couple. There's two that actually I think there's three. All of their battles are really engaging. Like really, there's this battle. Maybe it's Battle of the Bastards. And again, I guess this would be spoilers. I'll try not to spoil this too much if you've never seen Game of Thrones. Stop the video right now. Go watch all 8 seasons. How many there is? Be disappointed at the end, but
I know
like
you said watch 5 seasons.
Yeah, watch just 5 seasons. That's probably good enough. You're good. That's fine. The Battle of the Bastards, I think, is one of them because that's the one with Jon Snow like getting trampled and all that stuff, and like they set up the barricades around. Yeah, that's such a cool. It's cool because the battle. They talk about the battle strategy, what they're going to do, and how it comes. And to see it, like you see them talking about it, and then you see the action of it, and the chaos of it, and it's just really well done. It's very like you are there. Like when you're watching that, you're in the fight. You're like, and if you don't, that's why if you haven't seen this, I'm not going to spoil certain things because you don't know what's going to happen in the fight. So you as a viewer is like on the edge of your seat. Like Game of Thrones does a great job of like setup and payoff. Like they know, like they're just so good at that. And there's very few pieces of media where I'm that engaged in like a story and what's going to happen in this battle. That and then the I think the battle at the wall. The battle when you first get to the wildlings and they're scaling the wall and they're warning of the White Walkers coming. It's not the White Walker battle. It's like years before that. It's actually I think maybe the battles of the wildlings with the giants. It's not
just
the White
wildlings
Walkers.
in Castle Black.
Yeah,
that are fighting each other.
Because they're climbing over the wall.
Yeah. Okay.
So White Walkers is not part of that battle, but it's such the buildup of that. Like they're here, like and get it because they're coming, and then but there's something where you don't realize they're going to attack the wall. Like there's a spoiler, I guess. Because there's something to where you don't realize it until the end, and you're like, "Oh, they're gonna attack this outcropping here." What's that called? The Night's Watch, where they're at.
I can't remember.
The wall or something, but yeah, I'd say those are the most engaging battles.
Actually, that brings up another one of my favorite fight scenes, period. But also, definitely my favorite in the entire Game of Thrones show is it's on the episode called Hard Home, and it's when we first see when Jon Snow first encounters the Night King, and when he fights him for the first time. Oh. Actually, he doesn't physically fight him. But that's at the end when he does this. Yeah. And they all rise. And man, that is such a great episode, man. And like, because that's when he has that blade. I can't remember the name of it now, but it could kill him. But that one White Walker doesn't think it can, so he tries to stab him and he stops it. And then that's when he cuts him in half and he dissipates. That was such a great moment. Yeah, see, like those good action scenes, they have all of that just history and subtext in it that makes it that much more rewarding that almost makes it to where you can position a story in such a way to where by the time you get to the fight scene, it doesn't have to be brutal.
No.
You know,
Yeah.
it could just be intense because you've built it up to be, you know what I mean, so much. That's yeah.
Oh yeah, that's why like the anime stuff does work, because it's not it's not the battle, but it's like the lead up to the battle that you're like, I'm about to fight the toughest person in the, like so I'm watching Yu Yu Hakusho, and
I've never seen that.
it's good. It's from like the early 90s. It's really good. I like it a lot, but like it's become a thing where like I really like the characters. And it's become a thing where the show is just one big battle. Like they get to a part in the show pretty early on, and they're at a tournament, and then the show becomes just that, like for like 40 episodes or something like. And usually, like I don't really like those kind of shows. Like I never used to be into action at all, and so. Something like that would have like bothered me, and then people talk about it. I've read like comments where were like, "Why do people like this show? It's just one big battle." But they do a really good job telling that battle, and like there's different elements to it, of course, and there's downtime, and you know the characters go through different stuff. But yeah, a lot of that it's a buildup of like I'm gonna be like. It's funny because those characters are very like. He's the strongest. No, and then they introduce a new guy that's supposed to be really scary, and then there's another guy that's even worse than him, and you know. Like,
well, that's what I always tease. Always tease my buddy. Like that's the thing about Dragon Ball. And I think all animes like that, but in Dragon Ball, like you always meet like the next one who he's undefeated. Now he's undefeated.
Yeah.
Now he's undefeated. But they all fall under the power of Goku.
I think so that I've heard got a lot of inspiration from Yu Yu Hakusho, because that was I think came out right before that, and then that was like a thing. Like, oh, there's going to be like battle after battle, and yeah. Now, our topic merges to just fight scenes in general.
Mm-hmm.
You know, what are some good ones? We got our favorites, but you know, fight scenes in movies. What do you like about them?
Well, I mean, you know, so you have, because typically, you know, this discussion could be connected to something like, you know, I don't know, violence in movies, or is it necessary, and stuff like that, which I guess that's a deeper discussion.
Yeah,
but like I think fight scenes in a film, to me, they're the best, and they fit the best when they aren't obstructing the narrative, when they are based around when they're based around something firm in your narrative. Like if your character is, you know, a warrior, obviously, or if your character is somebody that encounters fights in their profession or in their life.
It's tied into the...
Right. And that's when they're more effective. Now, but of course, it isn't... There are different permeations of that, right? Because like if we take a film like The Matrix, which is one of the things about The Matrix that I thought was so fantastic, is that it combines a lot of different genres within one movie. You know, it's sci-fi, you know, it's kung fu, it's like philosophical. You know, it combines all these things in this one film. But what's fascinating in that film is that you see it has fight scenes in it, and they make the fight scenes work within the text, but it isn't about a person that's a fighter, so to speak. You know what I mean? Like Neo, like he's the one, but he isn't exactly a fighter in his regular character's life. You know what I mean? He's like a computer. Yeah, he's a hacker. You know what I mean? He's a hacker. So it can also be done in different ways, but what they do in The Matrix, the cool thing about it is when you can plant those fight scenes firmly in all of that. Like for instance, he doesn't fight outside of the character, but within the world of the Matrix. And once he comes to the truth of the Matrix, then he has to, because then he's chased. You know what I mean? He's hunted down, so he has to. He has to, and that just makes it to where the action scenes in that film are so exhilarating because that now, of course, in the other two Matrix, or should I say in the other three Matrixes, after that's when they get like, wild with the action scene. They kind of ante them up to an unnecessary level in some respects, but that's what I think. That's where fight scenes are their most effective.
Yeah, because you could almost say like the I've never even thought about it this way, but like the Matrix didn't have to be an action movie,
right?
Because it's not even about that, but it became like it really is. It is an action movie though. He for the most part he's doing like kung fu or whatever it is that he's. I forget the exact. Maybe it is kung fu because he says
it's all kinds of styles, really.
So, but he is doing like all of it. There's always a fight between him and Agent Smith, and those fights get more and more like talk about anime. It's a very anime like inspired thing at the end. Right. Like they're fighting, and there's like a city. It's city blocks, and there's like it's but they do a great job of like mixing the two. It's like he's fighting because he has to within the plot, and it looks cool. He's flying around. But
the other thing too, the other fight scene that isn't that isn't rooted in the character being a fighter, so to speak, are in some of Christopher Nolan's movies. So maybe not. Maybe not. Maybe only two of them. But what I mean by that is because in Inception, there are fight scenes in Inception that are like really cool.
Yeah, there is.
But they aren't. They aren't now in his character's profession. That he's an extractor, and they go on missions that require them to be able to fight. But the idea of you putting physical fighting into the world of a dream, you know what I mean? That's a super unique use of using fight scenes similar to the Matrix.
I was gonna say it's very Matrixy. Like they're very, very Matrixy. Both of those movies are like essentially about somebody going into a digital world. Yeah. Or an alternate world, and then they have to fight. And
then remember, that's what's so great about that one part in Inception when I think it's Joseph Gordon-Levitt when he's fighting like one of the baddies in the dream, and and that's when they show it like going sideways, then see that's great. Like that's what I like about that is that's Christopher Nolan saying, or whoever idea. Well, I'm just assuming it's Christopher Nolan saying, okay, this is a movie about dreams, but I want a fight scene in it. You know what I mean? That's what I love about that. But you have different filmmakers that do that, and he did it again in Tenet. Even though people have their feelings about Tenet, but
it sucked.
But in Tenet, that was a fight scene, and not only was it just a fight scene, it was a fight scene that required going backwards. Who has done a fight scene with the main character fighting the other character? One was going backwards and one was going forward. That is just incredible. I mean, Dylan did not like Tenet, but I like Tenet. So there you have it.
You can like Tenet.
Oh, I do.
You're allowed to like Tenet.
I do.
Jeez.
I do.
Okay.
I do.
Right. He liked Tenet. I thought it was terrible. Okay. Look, here.
We may have to cut for a second.
Here's my thing with Nolan. If you got to explain the whole movie the whole time you're watching it, and it still doesn't make any sense, it's not good. The movie's not good, okay? Nolan is a lousy filmmaker. He's the worst. No, I like Nolan, but Tenet didn't make any sense. And the more you explain it, it makes less sense. And I don't care if it makes sense. That's the thing. I don't care if it makes sense or not. Like if you can do it on a chalkboard and it all adds up. So what? It all adds up, but I still don't know what's going on in this movie.
But there's a fight scene with one person going forward in time.
Yeah, cool.
And the other person going backwards.
That was cool.
It's great.
But like everything else was like, it doesn't make any sense and it's breaking my brain. I don't like my brain being broken. It's already broken enough as it is.
How many times have you seen Tenet?
I've seen it the once, and that was enough.
Oh, yeah. You got to watch it like about 10 times. And then you get what I'm talking about.
If I got to watch a movie 10 times before I can understand it, then...
Don't you've seen movies a lot of times.
I know, I'm just joking. But it was a crappy movie.
But what are some other cool fight scenes you can think of that may not be the traditional,
Yeah, because there is this risk of, and this might be a little bit of a later discussion, but there's this thought that I always have with, so like I played D&D, or I used to play D&D, role-playing games, I play video games, and I've noticed people using a battle, like especially D&D. I bring up D&D is because D&D is, there's always a battle in the game per session. Usually, not always, but usually that's just part of it. That's how the game was written, for battles to take place, for your characters to level up. So, and there's other people that have been like, well, I don't like battles in my games. So there's better games for that. Like there's better role-playing games if you're just like, it's like mystery based or whatever. But with D&D, it's very strongly encouraged for you to have a battle. And I think about that in terms of storytelling, because to me, that's a good balance if you're playing a game, right? You want to there's something to do. You need to have something to do. And so a movie, and I've noticed this was an anime when with that Yu Yu Hakusho was primarily a battle of like, well, if that's all it is that cheating in terms of like telling, because you don't have to come up with a plot, right? You're like, well then they have a battle, and that takes up about 20 minutes of the screen time. But then there's different, I don't know what I'm saying exactly, because I disagree with that. I think I used to think that way, though. This is just busy work. It's busy work. It doesn't get to like, you can have a conversation and that's engaging. Mr. Rogers, I'm going to get this quote wrong, but said something of like, we don't need fights to be... I find it more emotionally like engaging if you find how do these people get along. There's something to that, is like, because I've always found like I'm more interested in like a drama than I would be an action movie. Nowadays it's different. It actually flip-flopped, but it used to be where I was like, I can get really engaged in something dramatically. Like it's a conversation between two people, and the different dynamics of different things is so engaging to me. I really like that stuff. Whereas action, a lot of times used to be where I would just tune out. I would just like, they're fighting, and then either one of them wins or one of them doesn't win, or they both win or they both lose or whatever. Now I see it in a whole new way, though. I appreciate it much better. There are still ones that are done badly that you can kind of feel the same way. But one thing I didn't know was there are engaging action scenes. Done right, you can have just as much engagement from it.
Yeah, because it's still storytelling.
Yeah. Exactly. You're still telling a story, but I think not a lot of people can tell action films well, though.
I agree.
There's so many. There's a lot more action movies that are just like boring, not engaging. That's why like you go like to an action film and you're on your phone or you're playing a video game or something while you're watching it. You're just kind of tuning it out. That's where I'm like, then don't make it. If you can't make something that's action, like especially an action film, if you go to an action movie and you're like, yeah, I was on my phone mostly because it was kind of boring. It's like, it should be the least boring thing ever. Like an action movie should be very exciting. And if you're like tuning out at an action film, there is something very wrong with that movie. You should not do it. But it's not easy. Like action is not an easy thing to do, to tell in any medium. It's not, but
yeah, that's why you got certain guys know how. 'Cause you have certain people that are action directors or that prefer to put a lot of action in their films.
Yeah.
But you also have ones that prefer to put a lot of action in their films and they love action, but also they know how to handle the dramatic elements so well. That's why I like what's his name so much. I always mix him up with the other filmmaker, Gareth Evans. I think that's his name.
Oh yes.
Is he the one that directed Rogue One, or because they're both named Gareth?
Edwards maybe.
One of them is Gareth Edwards. One of them is Gareth Evans.
Evans.
I think I'm talking about Gareth Evans. Anyway, he's the guy that did.
You're talking Rogue One guy?
No. I'm talking Gareth Evans. I'm talking about. He did his breakout film, should I say, was Raid Redemption.
Okay,
yeah. And that film, Raid Redemption, was pretty. It was like an intense, all like brawl, action film. But that was
Evans, his last name.
Yeah, Evans that did the one I'm talking about.
Yeah, the Raid.
Yeah, he did that film, and that was a all out. That film was pretty linear. Like all it was about was a guy going in and them breaking up a very violent and powerful drug ring that took control of a particular apartment complex, and that's all you're watching the entire thing. It's them breaking that up. It's just that they're going through different levels of action and different levels of brutality and everything like that. But the awesome thing about Gareth Evans though is that he also did, what was that other one? You watched it. You said it was pretty good too. Apostle.
Oh, the Apostle. Yeah, that was a good one.
See, he did that, and he also did the show Gangs of London, which is a very well done show. Yeah. Now, I'm not a huge fan of the violence that they're doing it, but it's such a well done. And when I mean well done, I'm talking even the dramatic elements of it.
Yeah.
Like even the elements of it that don't even require any kind of action scene. Now, don't get me wrong. When it's time to do an action scene, he does it up, but it doesn't even require it. He knows how to build the tension between the characters. They know how to tell. They know how to keep the drama there. You know what I mean? And so some people know how to pull that off, but then you got some people that, it's just all spectacle. Looking at you, Michael Bay.
Would you say he does action well?
Michael Bay?
Yeah.
Action,
You think,
I think he does action well. As a matter of fact, I think when Michael Bay was in his prime in his career, I don't think anybody could get with him action wise.
Yeah.
Now, if you're talking about plot and drama and that kind of stuff,
Yeah.
But as far as action, he was the guy back then. Like he really was.
I think that's one Nolen criticism I have is he does action better than he does like the emotional stuff. I think the emotional stuff doesn't really land.
Nolan?
Yeah.
Christopher Nolan?
Yeah.
Can't do emotional stuff?
Or there's something with his actors. He doesn't. I don't think he can bring out the best performance. I already feel people hating on this. I already feel so. Maybe
Interstellar was like.
See, that's the thing. Interstellar, to me, the action was cool and good, and the visuals are engaging, but the dynamic between the characters wasn't really like. I never felt that. I didn't get like a camaraderie from what's his name from blanking on Matthew McConaughey's character and what's her name, Catwoman, Princess Diaries.
Oh, Anne Hathaway.
Anne Hathaway. Like when he, I don't want to, I guess spoiler alert on this too, but he decides to go back to get Anne Hathaway at the end. It didn't really feel like, I don't know. I didn't get I believe he was setting them up as like, not a romance thing, but like, maybe a little bit too. I think he wasn't trying to lean away from that. But I don't know. The emotional stuff didn't resonate.
And you feel like that's pretty it's consistent. It's consistently like that through all of his movies. Is what you're saying?
Yeah. Like, okay, so Inception, the relationship between the guy and his wife, which is that's the whole thing. It's about. I'm not saying. I guess I'm not saying it's bad. I'm not saying like that was a bad thing. It's just okay. I get it's good enough.
I see what you mean.
But it's not like the best thing I've ever seen. You know what I mean? Like it's not a masterpiece. When I see those movies, they're really well done movies. They're really well crafted movies. But emotionally, I'm never really 100% like invested with the characters. Like all of his characters seems very like hard to get to know. Like he doesn't really let you into like their inner life. I don't know.
I never thought about that. I mean, yeah, that could be 100% accurate. I guess I never honed in. I guess I accepted the fact that they were okay and never thought about it past that. But I could definitely, yeah.
I almost expect like his caliber of a filmmaker. I expect a lot.
Yeah.
Right, because he touts himself as like a very good filmmaker, and he is a very good filmmaker. Some movies are better than others of his stuff, but I think that there's an element that is missing for me for those movies. Like that's where they kind of go into, they're not dramas, and they're not dramas. So maybe I'm expecting like a drama quality story plus the elements of all the other things. Because he is trying to do both. It's not just an action movie. Like he has these characters that you're supposed to respond to in a certain way. He has those moments of like they go away from the action and they talk about something detail or whatever. I don't know. I don't know.
See, yeah, I would more place him as a drama actor. I'm sorry, as a drama director than an action director. And the reason why is because I think for Nolan, he's only doing the action to do drama. I don't think he does drama to do action.
I think it's the opposite.
And see,
I think I think it's the opposite. He's doing it just so he can do the action.
And see, the reason I'm saying that is because to me, an action director would be like a Michael Bay. Or Gareth Evans,
but he's a different type, but he's still the same type, I think.
And see, that's very different to me. That's very different. Because I see Christopher Nolan the reason I believe Christopher Nolan has action in his movies is because he's at a point where he can make a big like the caliber of films he make can require them. He can do these big budgets. He can do these big stakes. But I don't think, because like you look at his early ones, they really weren't action films.
Well,
like you got The Prestige, you got Insomnia.
That's true.
You got what's that one with Guy Pearce? That wasn't even an action one. Even though some crime, Memento. Even though there was crime and stuff, but it wasn't really action. As a matter of fact, even when he does fight scene in his more modern movies, it's better. But before, when he would do even fight scenes he would do in his movies, to me they like the caliber of them fell. Like for instance, in Dark Knight, I don't like any action scene in that movie. I'm not saying they suck, but I don't really like it. They're not like not cool. They're not like an action person. Yeah. It's just kind of like he's just doing them. Now everything else to me about that film is where he's going with the philosophy and like the darkness and all of that, and that heist kind of feel that it has, that his movies have.
Maybe that's it. He's more into the concept of a thing.
Yeah, there we go. That's it. I agree with that. Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, because you have like if we're talking Jeff Nichols,
speaking of Tenet.
Oh yeah,
but yeah.
Jeff Nichols is like, he can make a story from just the drama of it, right? Just the character dynamics, and then then it's about something maybe cool and interesting. But the core of that is it's just these characters and how they're bumping into each other. Nolen, it's the concept. Yeah. Because that's why.
I see what you mean. Yeah.
He's always drawing up on his board, like on his chalkboard, like how it all works. And he
where are you getting this chalkboard image
look
from?
I gotta show you
I figured it had to be something.
Every time every time Nolan comes out with a movie, he always has to stand next to a whiteboard, and he draws out how the movie makes sense in his head. And so that meme from Always Sunny in Philadelphia where it's Charlie Day, I don't know the character, I don't know that show very well, but he's explaining this thing. He's got red lines crossing, and he's looks insane. That's my
looks insane
view of. You've seen that meme? You've seen that meme?
Oh, I think I've seen that episode actually.
Okay, so yeah, he's all kind of gone crazy. That's Nolan to me. He's always standing. How do you not? He's always standing in front of a whiteboard, drawing out how his movie's supposed to make sense. And he's doing a math equation. Look, wait. Okay. There's so many. That's Memento.
That's Memento? Wow.
He has one for... I feel like each of his movies, he's always in front of a chalkboard or a whiteboard, mapping out how the movie makes sense. It's not just this one. This is the only example I can find, but I've seen him do this for each movie he's done. Anyway.
But yeah, I see what you mean. It is his movies are about the concept.
Yeah. He's most engaged by with Memento. It's it's characters and nothing crazy actiony happens, but it's you see him doing the math of see, this makes sense. He's going back in time, but we think he's going all forward or whatever it is. But what he's really he's interested in. He's like a scientist making a movie.
Absolutely.
He's how does that, with Tenet, it's how does that work, and how does the time and all this stuff, and all of his movies are has that quality to them. Batman does this, and then the Joker does this, and then that's why this happens, and I could see him liking Rube Goldberg, and
Whoopi Goldberg.
Whoopi Goldberg, yeah. Rube Goldberg, the this thing triggers this thing, and this thing sets that off. It's
don't be dissing Whoopi Goldberg.
I love Whoopi Goldberg. Let's make that clear.
Sister Act.
All right. Yeah.
Color
exactly.
Purple.
Yeah.
Beat her.
Ghost.
You told Harpo to beat me. You know what? Let me stop. Have you seen The Color Purple?
Of course I have. Of course. What else? Next question.
But so what would you say is your favorite? What's your favorite Nolan movie? Since we kind of transition into talking about that.
So,
I'm curious.
so this would be our next topic. Actually, I have a favorite Nolan movie. Next week we're gonna talk about masterpieces in movies.
Okay.
I'll tell you it now, and then I'll get more into the masterpieces side of the blanket on the name. What's the war one he did?
Oh, Dunkirk.
Dunkirk, yeah.
Okay.
Dunkirk is great because it's all of his strengths at the forefront. It doesn't get into the emotional side.
They don't even have time.
It's hard to. Yeah, they don't have time. It's all action. All action. That's all it is.
Moving in it. Yeah.
Within the action, he finds the drama of it, like the emotional. That's why, for some reason, all the drama. Maybe he just did a good job with it, but like all the dramatic stuff, the character, like internal conflicts going on, is really good in Dunkirk. Where I don't think he nails those things in other movies, but he doesn't have a scene of a character talking about what they're going through because they're going through the battle, so they don't have time to like reflect and stuff. But honestly, I think for him that's good. I think when he writes like dialogue that's supposed to be emotional, that's hard to do, to write dialogue that's emotional.
Yeah.
You have to undersell it a lot. You can't just say like, I'm going through this hard thing and this is why I'm sad. And I'm not, that's like oversimplifying it. I'm not saying he does that too, but he doesn't do subtlety very well.
Yeah, I think I can agree with you on that.
So that's why I think like the dialogue doesn't quite nail it. It underserves it when he does his dialogue because it's so kind of on the nose. It's not the worst. I've seen way worse, but for him, I think his strong stuff is when he doesn't try to oversell it. And Dunkirk is just like,
and the other thing about Dunkirk
so
is
good.
The other thing about that is that it's not a concept.
Yeah, it's just but you can even in that you can still see him saying like, so then you got the pilot, and they're but that is a good thing. That's a good thing because he's saying like he's telling a story, but he's telling it like in fragments. So there's a battle over here with the pilot. Then there's that young guy and they're in their troop, and that's a battle. And then you have the guy on the boat who's going through PTSD and they have to go back. But the way he weaves those stories to tell them together, that to me is what Nolan is an expert at, what he really is good at. Because he can weave these elements and get so that like by the end of it all comes together really satisfying way, and it really is like emotional and really like you're engaged with that movie. That's his genius, is like like I can make fun of him in front of a chalkboard and saying, but honestly he is mapping out a story and how to tell it in a correct way. I think he is good at that. But the Dunkirk is like his masterpiece, because it's just the purity of who he is as a filmmaker, his strengths, and he takes out all the weaknesses, and it's so good. Yeah, it's really good.
Okay. What time are we?
We got 59 minutes. So an hour.
Oh, so we're right at an hour then.
Yeah.
Okay.
So battles. I'll mention real quick, Lord of the Rings, I love their battles, all three of those films. The battles are cool.
Yeah.
And they're very tied to the story of like what's going on. And
yeah, I'm actually, the interesting thing about Lord of the Rings, though the battles in those scenes, the one actually that's still my favorite is Fellowship of the Ring. And it's the one that has the most emotional impact to it. The one towards the end where Boromir is is proving himself.
They're running into
that's like my favorite one. I even like the practical way that was done, because you establish this big crazy orc, right? This big solid. No, actually, he was an Orkai. That's what they call it.
Oh.
And he's like the strongest one. He's killing everybody, and he even kills Boromir. Finally, he shoots him in the
I
head.
forgot about that.
Yeah, but then like all of that, you know, in anticipation with Aragorn just running full speed trying to get into the battle. And so you have Aragorn, once again, similar to the Troy and the Hector. I'm sorry, to Achilles and Hector. You have Aragorn and this Uruk-hai that's like just outmatches him big time. So, but it shows Aragorn's bravery because that thing is like huge. And so even while they're fighting,
Yeah.
like I love that part where he throws that shield and sticks his head in there, and like he's running about to cut his head off, and then he like hurry up and gets up out of it, and like it moves, and then but what's so cool about that scene though is that when Aragorn does finally stab him, and now this one was brutal. When he does finally stab him, that same strong Uruk-hai that they established, when he stabs him, he doesn't go like die. He roars in his face and pulls the blade further like into him, you know, demonstrating like his toughness and demonstrating how strong he is.
Excuse me.
Yeah, right? I had to sneeze a little too. I somehow held it back though.
Sorry.
But after that, you're like the only person to talk to in the room. So if you're sneezing, what am I doing? But this big Uruk-hai that they established, when he stabs him, you know, he doesn't just die. You know, he roars in his face and then pulls him closer to him like, that's not gonna do anything.
Yeah, I forgot about that whole scene.
Yeah, then that's when Aragorn pulls out the blade and cuts his head off. But
Yeah.
like the way that's done emotionally, you know, that's a demonstration of in a fighting scene how you're telling a story, and you're bringing out who a character is, and you're showing Aragorn's bravery, and that's why Aragorn is such a good character in the movie in comparison to me than the book, even though I hadn't read the other books, but because Aragorn is such he's actually a normal guy that can fight really well, but he's incredibly brave is what you love about him.
Oh, yeah.
He's like the bravest one. And like they bring it out in that fight scene. That's why I like that one.
Yeah. That's a good one. I like it.
Well, all right. We're going to, I guess we'll let you guys go. And me and Dylan are probably going to, go fight each other.
We're going to fight.
Yeah, we're going to film it and then maybe edit it, We'll see.
Sell it pay-per-view.
Yeah. We'll see who comes out on top. So
I don't
hopefully you guys are like, I don't want to fight.
I don't want to fight you, man.
Yeah, me either. Disregard.
Fights off.
We are a Place Pictures. Like, subscribe, all that fancy stuff. And actually, hey, look, we've uploaded our films. So you can watch our films and tell us what you think in the comments as long as you are decent about it. Please, because comment sections are brutal.
Be nice.
And, yeah. And that's it. See y'all next time.
See ya.
Do.